we do right now at this particular show is to do the stewest of minorities, which is Parunzel. Now, is that all right, Parunzel? Now, it is the stewest of minorities, and I like to throw out a little warning here. It can be just a smidge, just a titch, ever so slightly, a wee bit. I wouldn't worry about it, but edgy? Just a little bit. I think of it as risky, not risque. I don't do that. You want risque, just hang around and the poet will be up here. Yeah, all right. All right. Remember, stash the kids somewhere and then come back. But as really, every once in a while I look out and I see people with that look that says, oh no, my child, the person sitting next to me, is going to understand too much. Now, really, if your kid has not yet gotten through 7th grade, they might as well be watching NASCAR right now. Turn left! Yeah, I tried yelling that at the Wisconsin legislature, but oh well. Yes, since last we met, I spent the year living in Winona, Minnesota, which is right on the Mississippi River, and I could see Wisconsin from my back porch. That was right across the river. It's not that wide up there. And we would taunt the Wisconsinian, we Minnesotans, by standing on the riverbank and going, ha ha, we have collective bargaining. Now, in the meantime, they would get their giant cheese heads and they would put them on and they'd stand on the other bank yelling, stand back or we'll cut this. Yes, I know, I'm off on a tangent again. Welcome to Short Attention Span Theater. Squirrel! All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do Parunzel. It can have a little part that's just a little, but all I can say is, if you were of delicate sensibility, why, oh why did you come find me? Now, for those of you who are uninitiated yet in balking tackwords or spawking in tunerisms, Pount Danik. This is Surfingly Pimple. Most of you people have done this at Tunheimer or other. All right, yeah, okay, maybe you've done this. Cheaplewood Pilgrim do this all the time.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm knocking about? You ever found yourself at the end of your rope? Right, your fritz are weighed, you're landing in your ribbing stoom, you're faking your shinger, yeah? You're teaming at your squids. I'm sorry, you're at least 20 years younger than me and in the front row, so... And all of a sudden you say something embarrassing like, hey, you! Stop sitting your hister! See, she understood me right away. Bisson Luster, you're going to den the special of the raid, kidding in a soda, dicking about what you've done road to your goo. Or maybe you've done this. Maybe you've gotten yourself into a rit-de-fellas jage. Fit of jealous rage. And you walk up to your fresh bed and you say, well, I'll just go cattle my own canoe. I shall hoss my pretty tent in Hogo. Or maybe you've done this. Maybe you've said, philosopher. Yeah, ding, 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 ding. Or so they say, woo! I'm not under the alkafluence alcohol. Guy, bully, my breedometer must be spoken. I was at that Fenteron festival eating a lurkey tag, but my fresh bed kept dropping off my tinky. I didn't know it was a gluttonless bass. That's called squawking in tunerisms or talking in spoonerisms. Now, Pount Danik, this is Surfingly Pimple. You just gotta tink faster than you fuck. Now, now I've got your undivided attention, haven't I? So let us do this. We're going to do Parunzel today. Parunzel is a story that is new to the collection. Later on today, if you wish to meet sure they're phalanged at 5:45. See, it's very... All right, at 5:45, I'll be doing Jomeo and Rouliette, the tragic trail of those two children of whoring wowses. That's my Spilliam Wakeshire. You know him as the immoral Bard of Avon. Calling. Ding dong. Anyway, don't miss it. You'll be glad you did. That's where I take out my theater degree, wave it around, and go, look, Mom, I'm using this. So in the meantime, let's try Parunzel and see how we do. Parunzel, of course, starts out with her poo terrence. Her poo terrence, it's her father and mother. Right, who are a poor cudwater. Now, do you stunderand cudwater? It's like a jumberlack, only without the channel flirt. Right, a guy with an egg back goes around chopping down cheese. A ball punion. An environmental terrorist. The guy who discovered Nebraska. You know, Nebraska, penance for wanting to go to Colorado. All right, that is the sound of people who've driven I-80. If you have never driven I-80, it's much like this. So we have a poor Goodwater. He's got a Wagnet Prife. That means she's got an onion in her bobbin. She's in a whammerly fade, chafed with bridle, pensely dopulated. Really regretting that tattoo. She has been locked for a noop. Now the core bubble, they have an louse right next door to a wuggly old itch. But this wuggly old itch, she has a thin grum, which means she's got a nice pardon gatch. A vegetable vatch. She's got some Christ knocks. She's got lots of fine griefy vegetables that are einholic facet and good for pregnant women. So there. Now, the warpife, the warp woman, she dents her spays, wearing out her stindo and having these terrible tavings. So finally, she can land it no stronger. She habs her grusband, and she says, "Bissoluster." She had kind of morphed into Jesse Ventura late in her pregnancy. It's a conspiracy. Found the Minnesotans with cable. All right. She says, "Bissoluster, you better seal me a stallid, or you're going to be keeping on the slouch for the rest of your life." Well, the whore husband, he knew that it was gestational insanity. But he was at the rend of his oak. Against his judger judgment, he got down on his knees and knees. He went digging into that snarton. Well, just as he started licking her penis. We have arrived at that part I warned you about. And there's more. Suckle your beat belts. You hatten down your batches. Duct tape the children. I just find that to be an effective parenting tool. Oh, come on, a ceiling fan, a roll of duct tape, and a small child? Hours of entertainment. My girls are going to be astronauts. There we go. Just as he started licking her penis. Picking her lettuce, for God's sakes. A ugly old bitch comes horming out of her stouse and she's mopping head. She is aiming at the scruff of her tongues. She's yelling, "Who's peeking through my snatch?" I tell you, that'll give you a Hadel fart attack right there. But so far, I'm not seeing any porches or titchforks. Soundly all clear. We're moving on. The whore husband, he nuts to his trees. He's doubling in the girt. He's yelling, "No, no, don't nern me into a toot." All right, do you stunder and nern me into a toot? Cry me a little sleecher about Listhong like a Melisandre. Crawls on the crown, leaving a try-me slail. If you bench its putt, its fail-talls off. And then it quits its job at Fox News, runs for president, gets into fights with Juan Williams. Once again, the left side of the audience. Coincidence? I think not. No, no! Nern me into a toot. Don't nern me into a toot. All right, says the ugly old ditch. You grow up your stavling. I shall pig titty on you. Okay, I missed that one in the editing process. She says, "I shall not nern you into a toot if you give me your churst foreign bile." This is some barred bargaining here. No, really. I mean, this is going to be his ugly little snakey. Not like a teenage starting to be take your paggy pants and rip the hose, Mr. Man. This is going to be his bugly little snavy, but that whore husband, he was shared skitless. Tell me I said that right. He farted stinking. He realized he was keeping on the slouch for the rest of his life. He wanted to be a boomin' hing. He says, okay, bake the davy. That's gonna go over big at home. But he hoes going to double case, their bile is chorn. He and his warpipe are bugling their snavy. When the wuggly old itch lops up in that riving poom, babs that gravy, and pisseteers. Now, we hump a jed. Yunty beers go twy. The biddle lady was a giddle earl. The wuggly old itch has named her Parunzel. Parunzel. Probably because Moonbeam and Rainbow had been taken. Are you folks experienced festival goers? Huh? Have you had a chance to go in the shops and linger a while and get to know, for lack of a better term, us? Have you noticed that a few of my colleagues have been hit a little hard with a druid stick? Okay, true story. This really happened. Several years ago, I was at the Renaissance Festival, much like this, that was at the time closed. All right, so imagine this place. Audience is all gone. Sun is going down on... I think it goes down over there. Sun is going down on Renaissance land. The participants, they're out in the parking lot, and they're trying to start their cars by using crystals. Chant again, I think I'm flooded. Well, I drive a Taurus, but my carburetor's a Sagittarius. You can imagine the conflict. You think I'm kidding. I heard screamed, and I mean screamed, across an empty Renaissance festival. Echoing off the buildings, I heard this. Serenity? Serenity? You're really pissing me off! Now, I was puzzled at first. I thought, oh no, a meditation gone bad. No, it was a mom yelling at her child. Now, you can name your kid whatever you want. But naming your child Serenity is not going to stop you from having a 2-year-old. Now, I heard a kid who was named correctly. Well, okay, his name wasn't correctly. But now that I've mentioned it, one of you will. All right, he had a great name for a little guy. He must have been about 3 years old. He's about that tall. And he ran by me. That's how I found out his name. Because as he ran by me, his mother was in hot pursuit. She was running after him, and she was yelling, Chase! Chase! Come back here, Chase! Well, I thought that was worth repeating. So I did. I started telling other audiences. I'm telling other audiences, and there are 2 little boys right in the front row. And all of a sudden I say this, and they pop out of their seats and go, like that. And I thought, uh-oh. I've struck a nerve. I wonder what's going on. Turns out they were brothers, and they were named Chase and Chance. Yep, the next one was going to be named Oops. But wait, there's more. A couple years ago, I'm doing a show. This little boy and little girl turned out to be a brother and sister, and they're having a tug of war. You see, their parents had gotten them something to share. Yeah, you hear that? You hear that? That's all parents who've made the same mistake. You only do that once. So now they're having a full-fledged wrestling match, and they're going back and forth, and they're out in the middle of a Renaissance festival just fighting. Suddenly the brother gets it away from the sister. Sister stomps her foot and says, Justice, that is so not fair. But wait, there's more. Now this one is ripped right out of the tabloids, so you may already know the answer to the question I'm about to ask you. And for this one, I'm afraid you have to think like I do. Yeah, I know that's a frightening prospect, but as soon as Arthur Greenleaf Home comes up, you'll get back to normal. So, thinking like I do, out of the tabloids. About 6 years ago, out there in celebrity universe, there was a birth, a blessed event to Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Last name Pitt. 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 That's an important point. Pitt. Pitt, 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 Pitt. Pitt. Now, he already yelled it out, but we'll give everybody else a chance here. Can you tell me, what did they name their daughter? Shiloh. Shiloh Pitt. Now, think like I do. Yeah, I know! Who would do that to a little kid? Did these people learn nothing from the career of poor Forrest Tucker? I'll wait for you. Do they wake up in the morning and say, never fear, our child will never go to middle school? People! When you're having children, you know ahead of time, right? Yeah, wait a minute. No. There are warning signs that are very readable. I know, I've had kids. Fine, my wife had the kids. I was involved. I was right there holding the leg saying, honey, you ought to see this. Anyway. Well, that should have remained unsaid. They wouldn't let me bring my catcher's mitt. But we knew, there's a point to this, believe me. We knew 7.5, 8 months ahead of time, something's coming down the chute here. Which means that everyone has enough time to do some negotiating, right? You get a little list together, a list of viable alternatives. Take your list, go out in your backyard, and shout names across the neighborhood. Like you're calling them home for dinner. I mean, first of all, it eliminates the ones you can't pronounce. You may not think that important, but nothing destroys your parental credibility like not being able to pronounce your own child's name. And I don't know about you and your friends, but I swear some of my friends name their kids with a Scrabble game. XQZR. Look at all the points we get. And it keeps you from being out in a public place and yelling at your child. And if you think you'll never yell at your kid, try taking them to the Renaissance Festival. But you could be yelling at your child and yelling things like, charity, charity, give that back. Patience, will you wait? Innocent, I know you did that. Mercedes, slow down. Destiny, where are you going? And my absolute favorite, Chastity, do not put that in your mouth. And I've heard all of this. And now back to, are you gonna live? Wait, what's your name? No, because I did meet a young lady named Fidelity once. I wanted to introduce her to Chase. I thought they had promised. You know, they could open a bank. You've got a good one, don't you? No, all right, back to our regularly scheduled program, which was Parunzel. Remember her? All right, Parunzel is now a beautiful maiden, and she has been tucked up in a lower. Yeah, it's like a ball tilting that has no horse. She dens her spays. Homing your carriage is blong and land, and minging celodies out of wingle sindo, kind of like Spitney Breers, Thack and Barapy. But Dunway, a Pensamint is out falloping through the gorst. He's riding a horse in a very manly way. I know you're going, oh no, this geriatric guy is jumping on a bench. The Ransom Hits is out infecting his leather spans. Yo, what we don't ask. He hears this beautiful binging. Why? It's coming from that ball tilting. So he decides to bite in some bushes and why on the spindo. So there he is. He's leaking through the peeves. He's been on that horse a long time. He sees a wuggly old itch come flocking out of the forest. What? It's not really a story without a good fuck in the forest. Calm down. You fucked in the forest before. What are state parks all about, if not for fucking in the forest? I mean, think of those poor people in Arizona who've never fucked in the forest. It's not without Band-Aids and needle nose pliers. I mean, I'm from Minnesota. Shoot, there, the northern half of the state is set aside just for fucking in the forest. They send church groups and Boy Scouts up there. And speaking as a Minnesotan, I think Michelle Bachmann would be a lot more pleasant if she would just fuck in the forest. Maybe she wouldn't have that look all the time. Thank you, left side. All right, so... The ugly old itch comes fucking out of the forest. She goes to the top of the bower. She looks up at the window and she says, Parunzel, Parunzel, hat down your lair so I may stime that clothing air. Well, nutty o woe, this Honglan Blair comes wanging out of the window. The wuggly old itch habs that grare, lines it like a clatter, walls in the crindo and pissed ears. Now this makes the prancing itch killy-rurious. He continues baiting in the wushes. He's a lonely guy, our prince. He sees the wuggly old itch wall out the crindo, heim down the clare, and go fucking off into the forest. So he goes to the top of the bower. He looks up the window and he says, Parunzel, Parunzel, let down your standards. Yeah, it never worked for me in high school. The Honglan Blair comes wanging out of the window. He habs the very heims of the clary walls in the crindo. There is a beautiful maiden. Whoa, he says, this is my ducky lay. Affleck. Now, you would think that Parunzel, never having seen a prancing hints before, would be meme and scruddy blurter. Yeah, maybe even sapping him with a slaloot for sexual harassment. But no, this is a Terry fail. He is a frictional fence. Aren't they all? They start to flay in pissy case right there. Right there, the bob of the tilting, they're flopping swoots, but are they looking out the window? No. I mean, if you're going to be waking Muppy with a weight instrument, you got to take a leak out your window once in a while. See if it's freezing. You better take a week out of your pindo because that wuggly old itch, see puddliest ears in the frindo wayman, she is mopping hand. She grabs the grins and she whooks him out the chindo. He brawls in some fushes and he edges his scryballs. Well, really, he just cocked out his non-tax. But he was blind as a blat. He went thundering off into the forest, living on a diet of butts and naries. Then she pabs Parunzel, haves her shed, and stuck her in the forest. That's how I lost my job at Fuddruckers. She, yeah, it just takes, it's the right, well, every once in a while, people have to diagram these out. You think that's bad? I used to do morning announcements in high school. I went to school with the Hunt sisters. Carrie and Candy. All right, so, I didn't say that out loud, did I? No, nobody was listening. All right, so, weeks later, you'll figure that out. So, She goes wandering through the wars, living on a diet of toots and rumors. And that's how it goes for Yuplikeers, butts and Aries, toots and rumors, butts and Aries, toots and rumors, butts and toots, butts and toots, butts and toots, butts and toots. It's a dihybrophyte and it's totally organic. But then, done away by Chucky Lance Parunzel and the Pransome Hints, face, meat to meat. Blowing the vegetarian diet. Parunzel is most soothed by the Pransome Hints' starry sate. She eyes on his cryballs, and her talty seers wheel his hoons. Okay, she counted his contacts, trucked to his steaks, and walked him in the pieballs. Doink. His sight was restored. They duked, leaped into each other's thighs. And then they hissed Kong and lard. And when their pips linily farted, they haunted his morse. Both of them. And he hookered home to Pete his merits and see his pantsy phallus. Which was expensively decorated. You know, little bags and flanners. Oh, good Lord. And there they lived, happily after ever. Okay.